Grandmother Bryant's Pocket by Jacqueline Briggs Martin. Pictures by Petra Mathers. Hundreds of years ago, pockets were not sewn into skirts as they are now. Although a man's breeches had sewn in pockets, a woman tied a pocket around her waist under her skirt. Slits in the skirt allowed her to reach it. A woman's pocket contained useful items she might need as she did her daily work. It might also contain a coin or a gold button. Sarah Bryant was 8 years old in 1787. She lived on a farm in Maine and had a spotted dog named Patches. Every day Patches waited while Sarah churned butter, gathered the eggs, or fed the pig. Sometimes they went to the field behind the barn to run, climb on boulders too big for men to move, or lie in the grass and listen to robins. When Sarah talked to Patches, she thought he understood. She was never afraid when they walked down the road together. In early spring, the barn burned down, and Patches was caught in the fire. Then Sarah dreamed of fire and smoke. Her mother gave her hot milk at night. Her father gave her the best quilt. They moved her feather bed out of the loft and laid it beside their own bed. But the dream stuck to her skin like the smell of soot, and she woke up calling for Patches. Finally, her father said, "Your grandparents want you to stay some time with them, away from these ashes. Grandmother Bryant knows about roots and plants. Maybe she will know a cure for your bad dreams." Grandmother Bryant was quiet and strong. She hung herbs to dry from kitchen beams. She carried chamomile, knitbone, pennyroyal in her pocket to cure aches, scrapes, and colds. Day or night, people came to her to ask for help with birthing babies, burns and chills, cuts and sores, and they paid her in bacon, linen, salt, or coins. Grandmother Bryant was steady and sure. She knew the medicines that grew in woods and gardens. She hoped she could find a cure for nighttime fears. Grandfather Bryant made buckets and barrels. He whittled trinkets and toys from scraps of wood. Everyone called him Shoe Peg, and they waited for his stories. He told of his mother, such a good knitter. She knitted a mitten underwater the day she fell off the Kennebec ferry boat. He told of biscuits he ate in Boston, so hard they had to be soaked in seawater and run over by a wagon wheel before he could chew them. His voice was loud, his songs were booming, but he could catch butterflies without hurting feeler or wing. No one knew where the one-eyed cat had come from. Sarah said it looked hungry and lost, afraid of strangers and alone. Shoe Peg said the cat would bring bad luck, but Grandmother Bryant said any cat that could catch mice on the first jump would keep rats out of the root cellar and mice out of the bags of wheat in the attic, and ought to be given a home. No matter about the one eye and the short tail, Grandmother Bryant said that cat would never bring trouble. Grandfather said Beck Chadwick would walk uphill to make trouble. She claimed the plumpest hog from the common field, though everyone knew the runt was hers. She kept a cow and sold the milk, but people said she watered it. They said she would cut off her mother's hair for a gold button. She carried gossip in her pocket and her basket, and she would rather spread bad words than eat apples. Beck Chadwick's geese were tall and mean and wouldn't stay at her place. They'd go after a kitten or a dog, steal a strawberry, or bite a child. They nipped and pinched at Sarah's arms. She had no Patches to make her brave, and she dared not go outside by herself. The geese could smell her fear and would chase her across the yard, hissing and honking. Sarah's dreams came into the night like sudden storms. Grandmother Bryant gave her chamomile tea at bedtime, but Sarah woke up shaking from dreams of fire. Shoe Peg carved a dancing clown to sit by the bed, but Sarah dreamed of Patches and woke up crying. Shoe Peg said, "There are no quick cures." He hummed and whittled by Sarah's bed. Grandmother Bryant wondered if her pocket might work a cure. Grandmother Bryant held the pocket while she told Sarah of her long-ago dreams of falling down a hill with no end. She saw her own mother had sewn the pocket out of new white linen, and had stitched a tree on it, and fear not. Grandmother Bryant had worn the pocket for 50 years. The stitches had faded and the pocket was patched. Still it could hold rosemary, pennyroyal, knitbone, linen bandages, small scissors, and 2 gold buttons. Some nights she called in her sleep for patches and woke up weeping. Then Grandfather Bryant sat on her bed and made up a song about gold buttons. Some afternoons Sarah picked twigs and dirt from woolen fleeces and rolled catnip and small wool scraps into a ball for the one-eyed cat. Some nights her fingers grabbed at quilts, and she thought Grandfather's barn might burn. But one night the ragged cat came in and settled on her pillow. Sarah listened to its drum-like purring and held the soft pocket against her face. She smelled the rosemary and not the smoke. She remembered the story and the songs. Then she closed her eyes and dreamed of rain. Sarah wore the pocket while she worked beside her grandmother. All morning they planted beans. Mark a row, plant the seeds, cover the seeds. Mark a row, plant the seeds, cover the seeds. When they flipped their skirts to chase Beck Chadwick's geese, Sarah was thinking of biting, pinching beaks, and did not feel the pocket fall. Sharp eyes saw Grandmother Bryant's pocket at the edge of the bean garden. Greedy hands picked it up. What's dropped is gone, what's found is mine. That afternoon someone sold 2 gold buttons to the peddler man. Sarah looked under the table, beside the benches, by the new planted beans, and beside the fence. She wanted to search all night. I never should have worn that pocket, she said, but it was soft and strong. Grandmother Bryant looked under the table, beside the benches, by the new planted beans, and beside the fence. It was right to give Sarah the pocket, whether it's lost or found. Shoepeg looked under the table, beside the benches, by the new planted beans, and beside the fence. Someone has spied and stolen it. If it were here, we would find it. At last Sarah said, I will stitch a new pocket with a rose, and fear not. I can find pennyroyal and rosemary, but I have no scissors and no gold button. One morning, Grandmother Bryant, Sarah, and the one-eyed cat went walking to gather pennyroyal. They found Beck Chadwick crumpled on the ground. I fell onto a sharp stick, she said. Grandmother Bryant said, I have linen and bandages and knitbone, but no scissors to cut away your stocking. They are lost with my old pocket. Beck Chadwick sighed and groaned as the healer worked. Then she whispered, In my kitchen, in the candle box, under the bench, you'll find the pocket. Grandmother Bryant said, Sarah, get the pocket. I can't, said Sarah. The geese. Take this walking stick, Sarah. Go quickly. Sarah ran down the road, the one-eyed cat beside her. Sarah's heart thumped like a crow caught in her chest. She did not hear the robins or see the dandelion blossoms. Sarah and the cat neared Bet Chadwick's house, and the geese began to hiss. Sarah swung the walking stick. The one-eyed cat screamed and leapt at the geese. They scattered to the garden. Sarah ran into the house, found the pocket, and went out again, holding the stick, waiting for the geese. She grumbled and hissed, but did not come close. Sarah and the cat ran to Grandmother Bryant. Robins sang, Cure him, cure him, give him physic. Grandmother Bryant cut away Beck Chadwick's stocking and bandaged her leg, and said Shoepeg would do her farm chores until the wound was healed. After a few weeks, Beck Chadwick was up, as sour and grumbling as her geese, complaining that the bandage had been too tight, that Shoepeg had kicked her cow. Linen and knitbone can't cure a sharp tongue, said Shoepeg. Sarah found a strong stick, kept it by the door, her own cure for the geese. When the bean plants were full of blossom, Sarah said, I want to go home. Grandmother Bryant said, Take my old pocket with the oak tree and fear not. There are no gold buttons, but I will give you chamomile, rosemary, and comfrey seeds. Shoepeg gave her a small wooden box with a goose feather inside. He said, "You better take the one-eyed cat. She won't be worth 2 crumbs without you. You can bring us her best kitten in the fall." They walked to Sarah's house together, the old man, the old woman, the girl and the cat, while robins sang, butterflies soared, and yellow-flowered mulleins danced with the summer breeze. Fear not, Grandmother Bryant's herbs. Catnip, a member of the mint family, called catnip because cats' fondness for the leaves. Catnip leaves are sometimes made into tea. Chamomile. People still drink tea made from chamomile's cream-colored flowers. Chamomile can also be added to bath water for a soothing bath. Pennyroyal. Dried pennyroyal leaves were used to keep moths out of woolens and bedbugs out of sheets and quilts. The leaves were rubbed over the skin to keep insects away. Oil of pennyroyal is still used to repel insects. Rosemary. The plant's needle-like leaves are used in cooking and can be made into a tea. People who felt dizzy were sometimes given rosemary leaves to smell because of their strong scent. I hope you enjoyed the book, Grandmother Bryant's Pocket. It's one of my favorites.